Aloha and welcome again to the Sunday's online service of the Honpa Hongwanji Hawaii Betsuin. We thank you for taking a little bit of precious time to tune in and listen to the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha. It is our continuing hope that all of our members and non-members alike who tune in every Sunday to remain strong, healthy, and focused on the teachings which serve as a guiding light and inspiration to do our best to live our lives to the fullest in the middle of this ongoing pandemic. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Say
Let's join our palms together in Gassho. The craving of one, giving to heedless living, grows like a creeper. Like the monkey seeking fruits in the forest, he leaps from one life to life, tasting the fruit of his karma. Whoever is overcome by this wretched and sticky craving, his sorrows grow like grass after the rains. But whoever overcomes this wretched craving, so difficult to overcome, from him sorrows fall away like water from a lotus leaf. From the Dhammapada, the words of Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning. Aloha kakahiyapa. Thank you again for being with us today online to listen to the teachings of the Buddha. I can't believe how fast time went. It is already the 14th of February, a day which a lot of people easily remember and look forward to. It happens to be Valentine's Day today, and for those of you, especially the young and even the not so young, let's just say young at heart, today is a time to spend with your special someone. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day after this service. This month also, I notice, is an unusually cold time of the year in Hawaii. Of course, the chilly air we feel is nothing compared to the mainland chill, but it is enough to bother my sleep. Because of the cold temperature, and despite the use of blankets and jackets while sleeping, I haven't had enough sleep for the past few days. Even using the supplement melatonin doesn't work for me. To have adequate and good sleep is necessary for one's health, physically and mentally. Oddly enough, in Buddhism, sleep is grouped together with food and physical intimacy under desire, which is considered not bad, but rather a hindrance to progress on one's spiritual path. From a biological point of view, I would classify those desires like the desire for sleep, food, or to procreate as needs rather than just mere wanting that the mind craves. Without these needs, these urgings, we cannot possibly continue living. Again, these are rather hindrances to our spiritual progress, not evils. Hindrances in the way that because these are needs that have to be fulfilled to ensure our continuing survival, and if they aren't met, we suffer both physically and mentally. One cannot listen and understand the teachings well if one's stomach is constantly empty, or the body and mind too tired and sleepy to pay attention to learning the Dharma. The second of the four noble truths that the Buddha had taught upon attainment of enlightenment says that cravings and attachments are the root cause of suffering. First, desire is born, then comes craving and attachment. In that order. What is the difference between craving and attachment? Craving is the aspiring to an object that one has not yet possessed, like a thief stretching out his hand in the dark. Clinging or attachment is the grasping of an object that one has reached, like the thief's grasping his objective. They are the roots of the suffering due to seeking and guarding. Not all desires are bad. Besides the natural desire for food or sleep, as an example, the desire to learn the Dharma is definitely not bad. The desire to help others out of compassion is a laudable deed. The desire to attain enlightenment or birth in the Pure Land is one of the three essential minds of Shinjin that Shinran Shonin taught as necessary for birth in the Pure Land to occur. Normal desires are not bad in themselves. It's when they are excessive and turn into craving and attachment that suffering surely will follow. Craving comes up in our society, frequently in terms of drug or alcohol addiction. But the Buddha saw that craving as a much deeper problem. In fact, he saw craving as the base for all suffering. Clinging and attachment are what we do. Once we get something we crave, we hold on or try to, and it's in that clinging that we create so much problem for ourselves. Craving and attachment can be open and obvious, as we see in drug and food addiction. But it's more than subtle, such as the craving of expectation and the clinging to results, the clinging to the sense of self and what we think we are. Attachment to ideas and perceptions about ourselves leads to disappointment, conflict with others, internal agitation. In my many years of working as a healthcare professional, I have seen many different examples of craving and attachment in the workplace. In the nursing profession, there was a time when the shortage of nurses was so acute. So, as an incentive for people to work overtime, hospitals would offer double the hourly pay for those who are willing to work beyond the regular shifts. Many took on this offer, and I have known nurses who worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, sacrificing their days off just to make tons of money. I won't judge them on whether that is good or bad, but I know that I myself can't do that kind of work. I would compromise my physical and mental health. The added stress would possibly kill me. Yet people did it. People I knew who already have or own multiple cars, big fancy houses, and jewelry. When the nursing shortage eased up, the need for overtime work also dried up. And so, on those days when overtime work was needed, people began to fight over who gets to do extra hours of work. The lure of money is very strong indeed. And for those used to getting a lot of it, the desire to continue raking in a big paycheck from overtime work is very hard to eliminate. Another less common example of attachment in the healthcare setting is during decisions concerning terminating or continuing life support on patients who are very old, very ill, and have no hopeful prognosis for full recovery and return to ordinary or quality life. Some family members just find it very difficult to decide to end life support to their mothers, fathers, children, and so on, although they know that the chance for recovery is practically non-existent. It is no doubt out of love for the patient, and I cannot really fault them for insisting on continuing treatment. But in Buddhism, that is a form of attachment that is causing suffering, not only to the family members themselves, but to their loved one who is being kept alive by medical technology. That patient, although maybe comatose and unable to speak, is suffering and perhaps just want to die and end his suffering. The best course of action in that situation, of course, is to let go. Let go of our attachment to our loved one and let that person die in peace. It is a very tough decision. Our blind passions of clinging and attachments to things are sometimes very difficult to control. And what's worse is, we become too blinded by these blind passions. They are called blind passions for a reason. Of craving and attachment that we often fail to see or are unwilling to do the obvious thing to avoid the suffering that surely follows, and that is to let go. It is easier said than done for a lot of people. I like to explain this letting go concept by this analogy story I learned while studying to be a minister in Japan. In ancient India, maybe even to this day, people caught monkeys to sell or keep as pets, even for food perhaps. As monkeys are agile creatures, skilled in climbing trees, it is of course not easy to catch them. But people devised a way to capture these animals without having to pursue them up to the trees. What they did was fashion a jug, a container that is wide at the bottom but tapers to a narrow neck, the mouth of the jug just being wide enough for a monkey to slip its hand through. Inside the jug, they fill it with different kinds of fruits as bait and tied a strong cord to the neck of the jug. They then set this trap underneath the trees where the monkeys live, and the trapper holds the end of the cord and hides somewhere nearby. The monkeys then come down from the tree. One dips its hand inside the jug and grabs a fruit. It is that moment that the animal is effectively trapped, and all the trapper needs to do is pull the cord to catch the monkey. The monkey cannot escape because its hand is grabbing the fruit, so it cannot pull the hand out through the narrow opening. To us humans, the obvious thing to do is to let go of the fruit, pull the hand out, and escape. But monkeys are not capable of that advanced reasoning. It grabs onto the fruit inside, unwilling to let go, and so it is captured. Some of us are like that monkey. Although we are capable of reason, it is hard to let go of something even though it is the most logical thing to do to avoid being caught, meaning being drawn to suffering that comes with attachment. The reason is our being unenlightened to the true nature of things. We are good and adept at grabbing and attaching to things, but funny enough, we cannot grasp the true meaning of impermanence. It is the proper understanding of impermanence that things are always changing, never the same, moment to moment, that we can get rid of craving, attachment, and greed, and that to attach ourselves to something that is fleeting and will disintegrate someday will only serve as a hindrance to our path to enlightenment. I said earlier that it's easier said than done to let go of clinging and attachment to things. So now, we are like that monkey, trapped and being drawn to suffering. We are blinded by our desire for the fruit inside the jug and cannot let go, despite it being the obvious thing to do to escape. Are we now hopeless? Absolutely not. For it is in situations like these that Amida Buddha's primal vow works even harder for us beings who are consumed by the fires of our blind passions. We can compare Amida Buddha's vow as like a giant scissor or knife that cuts the cord that is drawing us into suffering. The cord is cut. We feel the freedom to run and escape the trap, but we are still holding on to the fruit inside the jug, foolish as ever as to not let go. But sooner or later, as we arrive at a safe place, we awaken to the fact that it is because we cannot let go of our attachment that we almost got ourselves caught in suffering. This is the time we open our hand inside the jug, let go of the fruit, and pull our hand out. The Buddha's wisdom has enabled us to see that the fruit that we tightly held on to, the fruit that represents all material and sensual desires, was not worth holding after all. Sometimes it's just a simple act of letting go that relieves us of a lot of the burdens of attachment that we have been piling up and carrying along in life. A heavy load that causes us much discomfort. A simple act, yet not simple to carry out. In times of difficulty, in sincerely wanting to let go, when we find ourselves hopelessly in the midst of our blind passions, slowly leading us to suffering, we can always count on the Buddha's infinite compassion to give us the wisdom to cut through the delusions of ignorance and free us from the bondage of craving and attachment. Gratefully, we respond to the working of Amida Buddha's primal vow by saying the Nembutsu. Thank you all very much for listening. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you again for tuning in today's online service. We hope that you all will find meaning in the messages we broadcast here every Sunday as you apply them in your daily lives. As a concluding part of the message that's appropriate for this day, for those of you who are still pursuing your love interest this Valentine's Day without any chance of success, this is the moment to let go. It is time to move on and find someone else. Life is too short to waste on things that are beyond our control. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.